pickleball for pickleball center, 16 courts. We did expand at Demuth, and there is one that is, we have blended, we have designated, and then a tennis court that can be used. It's been almost a year, and we haven't been able to go back to the pickleball community with an update or any information, knowing we have new council members. What would your suggestion be on how we might communicate that out to the pickleball community?
My initial thought is, if we sort of have a master list that includes that with priorities from this commission, I mean, when we had the retreat, we had some, feedback, as I recall, that just because a lot of people show up who have means doesn't mean that's what we should necessarily prioritize, right? So we want to hear from the commission what your priorities are, so we can have that budget conversation to council. So if that's your top priority, that would be great to know. But we'd like to know what the commission's top priorities are.
But I don't know if you remember, but at the council meeting,
Yes.
the council meeting said,
We'll go out and find out the costs.
yes, and we actually had an engineer do the
Right.
design and do all of that.
Right.
So what I'm here, you just responded by saying, put it back on a list?
Well, no, I mean, it should come to council, but we want to know where that fits in your priorities. Since at the retreat, one of the conversations was we really need to figure out on a broader sense the priorities and not do these
Okay.
as one-offs, which I think made sense, right?
Okay.
If this is number 5 on your list and bathrooms and, the swim center and other things are higher priorities, we need to know that.
Okay.
Right? I think council liked the idea of doing it, absolutely, but not if it means not doing other things. So that's the conversation I think we want the commission to have. Give us your recommendations, and then council should make those decisions and figure out the funding sources, if that works.
Dr. Reddy and Mayor Kors, I thank you for coming and
you.
addressing us. If you have anything else, you're welcome to stay. You committed to once a quarter. You're always welcome every month when we meet to come, but we will try to make sure we get you our once a quarter to go through things.
But Marcus and I will come to the next few meetings just to keep
Very
you
good.
updated on several of these projects so they're getting launched in the appropriate way.
Yeah. And if there's something on the agenda where you think my being here as liaison, assuming I'm still liaison, would be helpful, let me know as early as possible, and if I can come, I'll come. And with that, I just want to really thank, you're all volunteers and you do a great job, and this is such a critical, important commission, and there's a lot of talent around this table, so we really do look to you for that information, and I really want to thank staff for always taking all my ideas so well.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, our next item is staff updates, and I was going to ask our Stacy Schaefer, our Parks Manager, but I think she had to run out for a phone call, so both of you, I was going to get up here. Director Alvarado, I'm sorry, that stuck in my head. Director
It's okay.
Alvarado.
I've been Alvarez, I've been avocado, I've been a lot of things. It's fine. As long as, you know who I am and you know my face, all is well. All right, so some quick updates. James O'Jesse held their holiday toy giveaway for participants past Friday. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but I got to see it on Facebook Live and it looked great. I saw you were there. Not sure if anybody else got to make it, but it was a great Santa made an appearance. Breakfast with Santa was this past Saturday. We had about 200 people attend. We held our All Paws on Deck meeting on Saturday after. We had the Desert Sun present along with Channel 3. The bid for the laser leveling of the ball fields for Demuth, Cerritos, the stadium, and Desert Highland fields have gone out, so we're hoping that will be accomplished sometime in March. We will be looking to expand some of our program offering at the pool with some paddleboard classes. We've purchased 5 paddleboards, and some of the staff will be getting certified to actually teach the classes. They're looking to do about 3 days a week. And that will probably happen around March or April when it starts to get a little bit warmer. Winter camps will be going on at both James O'Jesse and the Leisure Center. They'll actually be taking field trips together to do some of the walking dunes and a couple other little adventures. The department will be closed tomorrow and Wednesday for the Christmas holiday, and also on January 1st. This includes the pool. The fire sprinklers have been started to be installed at the Demuth Community Center, and we are updating the community as we make progress in the different rooms so that programs will know when their closures will happen so we can get this completed. And I will be bringing forward an item next meeting so we can discuss your priorities, so we can take it to Measure J. I will have the list of what the past priorities have been, so we can discuss them and rearrange if we need to, and move that forward so that we can be considered for some dollars.
Thank you. All right, our next section, we're into our discussion and action items, and our first item is our discussion of the Gerald Clark Road Sign Project. Excuse me. If you have a question, Commissioner Cohen, I'm sorry, go ahead and ask your question.
I can't remember if it was last meeting or the meeting before, but you mentioned that you were getting bids on resurfacing of tennis and pickleball courts, and I'm just curious about an update.
Yes, so the bid has been put out. I just don't know if it's been publicized quite yet, but that's being completed. And we, as long as I have all of the money, we'll be trying to do all of the tennis courts and then all of the pickleball courts that need to be resurfaced, which I think is 8. Yeah, so that should be out. If it's not out already, it should be out by the new year.
My apologies for not asking questions. Does anyone else have a question? Staff report. All right, with our Gerald Clark Road Sign Project, I understand we have someone from Sustainability that's going to present us with the Gerald Clark Road Sign Project update and what is happening, and tell us everything we need to know.
So I'd like to bring up Tracy from the Arts Commission. She will be discussing this item.
Welcome, Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Merrigan.
Would you turn? Yeah.
From the Public Arts Commission. So we wanted to come to you and just describe our project and let you know how excited we are about it. And I think the community is really excited about it also. So part of what, since I started on the Arts Commission, I'm also the president of the Desert Horticultural Society. So parks and community outreach are really important to me. So this is a great direction that we are going in. I've been pushing on it for a while, actually ever since I got on the Arts Commission, to get more involved with art in the parks and using that as a way to activate the parks. So this is our first project in that vein. So we commissioned Gerald Clark, who is a local artist. He's from Anza. He's a Cahuilla tribal member, so about an hour away up in the mountains from here. Gerald has a retrospective at the Palm Springs Art Museum that opens on January 18th. And I know him personally. He's an amazing artist and just I would call him a communitarian. So that's kind of how I think of myself. And he's very involved in the community at large and is very excited about engaging the community in this project. So he started these road signs in 1981. So this is a further iteration of this art project. They were first installed on the Cahuilla Reservation up in Anza, and then he's done these art signs in other locations in the country. So it's really exciting to have a whole collection of them designed here for Palm Springs. So we went on a tour of the locations with Stacy's staff to make sure they all worked for her department, and we had a great meeting. So they're very, very excited about this project. So we have 13 signs that Gerald is doing, and they're set to be in 6 parks. So, and what they are Cahuilla translations. So they're the Cahuilla word for things that desert-related ideas or animals or just a desert-related environment. So in the visitors center, which could be considered the beginning of, if you were thinking of taking a tour of these pieces of art, there are going to be four signs with directional signs. And then they'll pretty much be in that round space. There's a round wall that goes around the visitors center, so it would be north, south, east, and west. And then there'll be one sign that kind of faces towards San Jacinto. That's the Cahuilla word for Palm Springs, which translates to hot water. So around these signs, we're also going to have some community engagement. So some of the places where the signs are, there's either an amphitheater that's built already, or enough space that we could kind of do some community engagement programming. So the visitor center has a little amphitheater there, and we would like to do some bird singing, either at all of them, at some of them, maybe start it off at the visitor center. So later on in the spring, after the show is opened at the museum, we're going to have some community engagement around these signs. So that's your first page. Oh, it's location 2. Location 1 is the James O. Jesse Center, and those are animals that, and then the next one, which is at the Leisure Center, is the rattle. So Gerald noticed that there were a bunch of little date seeds on the ground, date palm seeds on the ground, and that's what they used to put in their rattle. So that is the rattle. We really wanted to activate this area because people don't really know, like with the swim center, don't know of the leisure center. Barristo Park is a park I didn't even know existed until we went on this tour. So this is with another language or another way of looking at communicating. So I've been a huge proponent of this project since the beginning of it. So if you guys have any questions you want to.
Commissioner Armstrong?
Hi, I have some questions. A lot of questions. First of all, what has been the involvement of Agua Caliente in this?
This isn't a project with the Agua Caliente tribe, no.
All right, so that's my first concern about putting these in the park. I mean, so Cahuilla as a language has mountain Cahuilla, which Mr. Clark is, I think, a mountain Cahuilla speaker. There's desert Cahuilla and past Cahuilla. So some of these words, I think, may not be the correct words for this area with punctuation. And so I think it's really important that you have some experts from the tribe review these words, because they may not be the dialect that's spoken in this area at all. I think they're mountain Cahuilla words. And so, the tribe is opening up this museum, and it just seems like there should be some coordination. So I don't think the city should be doing this as a vacuum from the tribal government at all. I think we owe them a courtesy to look at these words and get their feedback on them, because you're not involving anyone from Agua Caliente at all. Right, so I think there's a problem here with the words. Also, there's, I think, some cultural issues going on here too. The three animals, the coyote is one of the two moieties of the Cahuilla, right? There's another one that all Cahuilla trace themselves back to two animals. The other one is the wildcat. And so, while I understand that this may be something appropriate for that area, culturally it could be perceived as a slighting half of the Cahuilla people living today by not having the sign for their moiety on it. The maze, I don't know if that's really actually a Cahuilla rock art. I'm not familiar with that. And there may be some people who have issues with the rattle as well, because it's considered a sacred item. So I would really encourage this commission to urge your commission to engage the local people before putting any of these signs up in any public spaces in the city of Palm Springs, because we already have an issue out on, when you come in the 111, is called, they're calling it Shiprock. The Kuya is actually, if you translate it, it's sort of a house with a pointed roofs. And some of the words on those rocks are not, there's dispute about those translations already. They were done in a vacuum with no consultation with the local people at all. So, I mean, I think it's a great idea, but I think it needs to be executed with collaboration and cooperation with the local government. That tribal government that, you know, if you look at our map, the reservation is a large part of Palm Springs. And I think there's an opportunity to see what they're doing as well with the cultural center. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Armstrong, for your input. Any other commissioners have? Commissioner Lamort?
Yeah, I had no idea that there were different Kuya languages, so thank you for that. I love the idea. And I think with their cultural center being built, with the venue that they're building, it's much more important. It is very important for us to embrace the tribe, and I think this is a way for us to do that we're not separate from the tribe. We're living on their reservation, and I think it's very important for people to understand that. I had a couple questions about location. For example, I don't know if you want to get nitpicky, but why 5 at the visitor center? Probably 90% of the people who live here don't go to the visitor center, just the tourists do. So I'm wondering if we could spread them out more, or perhaps have more than that, this number, so that we are educated as to their language and their community. I also thought there was, I'm almost afraid to say this, but I'll say it anyway. One of the problems with Barristo Park is that it's right across the street from the Wellness Center, or from the Well in the Desert. And so there's a lot of people, in the summertime, they go over there for shade, which I find no problem with, but the people in the neighborhood who live in those apartments right there, somehow they feel that their kids aren't safe because there are so many homeless people there. You're using a hut, which is a place for someone to live in. It's almost an invitation.
Yeah, shelter.
I don't know if it's an acknowledgement. Maybe it's an acknowledgement that there are people who are finding shelter there. But I could see other people looking at it as an invitation. This is where we should be, because that's what they're telling us that the Kuya people believe of this area. So I had a question about that. In Demuth Park, is any of Demuth Park on tribal land? No. Then I question the placing of the sign in Demuth Park, which is over in a corner between the filtration plant and the boundary of the park. I would think it would be much more visible if it might be near a parking lot, where people are going to actually get up and see it. Or maybe by the kids' playground, because there's a lot of people that congregate there.
Yeah, that one is the one that was added after we had done our tour. So that one, I have not seen the location of that one.
And my other question is, who is paying the $21,700?
The Public Arts Commission.
Can you spend more? I'd like to see this spread out a lot more, many more signs in the parks, and I'm wondering if through our foundation, we can set up a program that if somebody wanted to donate a sign to a specific area or neighborhood, they could pay to have that done. Like the brick idea, exactly. So I'm wondering if there might be another way to fund it with donations from folks who might like to have these signs in their neighborhood.
And maybe if you consult with the tribe, they might fund somewhere because they'll be interested in having more of those signs posted?
I don't know quietly how to, I think you can answer this question in a couple of ways. So one, we commissioned Gerald Clark to come up with this project, right? To come and look at Palm Springs and come up with this idea. So he proposed this idea of this many signs. So is this an art project that's complete? Like, we would have to go to Gerald and say, what would your idea be behind this? Would this be a living project that would continue to live beyond this first, like, would this be a first segment? So we can, that's how I think we'd have to answer the question. Like, it would be up to the artist, and then, and how he perceives that as a living project. So he's a, he's a professor at UCR, and he's a local bird singer. He's very involved in the community up, down here in the desert. He's involved with the college, the new college at UCR Palm Desert, California Indian Nations College. So, so that might be something he's interested in, but I couldn't answer for him. Yeah.
Okay, I've heard it mentioned twice, and I'm interested in, what is the bird singing? And is that in a specific park where someone, let's say there's, I don't know if the right bird, but let's say there's a bobolink there, so therefore the call of a bobolink somehow will be presented there?
Bird songs are the creation songs of the Kauai people. So bird singers are men who chant these creation stories, and that's what is, so it's called bird singing. And they use the rattle that's on the sign. They're filled with our native date palm seeds. So you can go to a lot of events and see bird singing, like at the Morongo Reservation, at the Malky Museum, or
In January, it'll be at Palm Springs High School.
oh, okay.
Very cool.
Singers will be there. Yeah.
And at the K-Wet at the high school, you can
I can
see.
get you that information, Charles.
And then I guess my last question is, there's only one rattlesnake. Why is there only one of each sign? I mean, I would think you'd want to spread them out to
Well, I
better
think-
educate people.
Yeah, I think too, it's the artist's interpretation of the space where he was, so, yeah. I mean, that part of James O. Jesse, it's on the edge of town, where there's like a lot of open space beyond there. So when you're looking there, you do see up into the mountains and out to the desert, unlike the other parks where it's much more urban. Yeah. So I think that's what spoke to him at each different location. That's why the signs that you have there. So at the Visitor Center, it was a way of orienting you to Palm Springs. So it's like welcome to Palm Springs. It's the Visitor Center. Yeah, not everybody who lives here goes there, but it is orienting you to this area. So with the north, south, east, and west. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Trace, for giving us some information. Commissioner Goodman, you have a question, because we're running
Yeah,
late.
and then back to Dieter.
Okay.
I really appreciate Commissioner Armstrong's comment about just checking in with our local group. Since there are 9 bands of Kauai, and we're with the Agua Caliente, so we should probably just check in with them. My question is will there at any point or any specific place be a direction as far as a narrative, so that when I go to the visitor center or when I'm at another park and I stumble across the sign, that there's a narrative that actually provides me with direction of what exactly this is? Was that planned or thought?
Yeah, each sign will have a descriptive on it. But we were when we did this tour, I think we talked about having a descriptor of the whole project just at one place, which would probably be the visitor center. So there would be a longer narrative of the whole project, but each sign will have a descriptor on it. Yeah.
Commissioner Crawford.
Yeah, that was kind of my question as well. What would the descriptive plaque look like? I see it here. It says there will be a descriptive plaque below each sign, but I just want to, kind of see or understand what will be on there or see kind of what it would look like. But overall, I like the project. I think it's a good idea. Just want to kind of echo what everyone else is saying, maybe involve the local CAWIA, see if we can do something maybe with the school district as well. I know they just included Agua Caliente curriculum into their school as well. So maybe if we could try to partner with the local tribe to just do a little more interpretive things and, like you're saying, create programs. We have a stage at James O. Jesse. I saw that mentioned as well. So, and lastly, the Desert Highland has a unique connection to the Agua Caliente. Most of the residents settled on Section 14 when we kind of moved here in the late 1960s. So maybe just some information of tying those in as well.
Yeah, I saw your email to Maura that you had sent her. Yeah, there should be a nice narrative of the project that we can pull in as much as we can about each location and why it was selected. The descriptor on the signs is going to be very short and very, it will probably, it will say who the artist is. It's not going to be like a long descriptor of what each is about, yeah.
Commissioner Armstrong, you have
Right.
one last question.
Yes, because what I'm hearing back is I'm not getting a lot of confidence that there's going to be any consultation with Agua Caliente Bandacuya Indians. I'm not getting that from you. So this agenda says direct staff as appropriate. 5 of these 6 locations are on city parkland. I am going to make a motion that none of these signs go on city parkland until there's meaningful consultation, government-to-government consultation with the Agua Caliente Bandacuya.
And involving us, involving your commission with us, and just remember that when something goes on in the parks, we're the first to hear about it if we make a mistake. So
Oh, yeah, no
we
problem.
do appreciate you working with us. At this point, then, I would like to move on to our next discussion on our demuth softball fields. And Johnny, you have 3 minutes.
I'm going to make this,
So can I
called them out.
request that we wait until Stacy returns? She had an emergency down at PD. She's going to try to make it back.
You wanna
Because she'll
put
be
that-
the one to be really able to answer all of your questions. So if we can,
Okay, we will hold that off. And then we will have a discussion on the dog park community meeting that was held. Commissioner Goodman and Commissioner Armstrong, you want to give us an update on what happened Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, I'm wondering if I may say that maybe we move items 4 and 5 up, since we have guests here to make presentations, and the other really is discussion, and we have to wait for Stacy.
You're only getting 5 minutes.
I'm just making a recommendation, we move 4 and 5 up.
Does anyone have any objection to that? If not, then let's move up to item 4. We have Alex Beck here again. He was here last time on our sunblock items, so I'd like to invite you up to the table. I just have one question that I know that we want to, and we want to get action going, hopefully, on this situation. Welcome back.
Thank you, Commission. Long drive. Is this thing? I did, yes. Long drive, 5 hours. Hollow solution there, and then obviously our maintenance staff is going to have to check the status of the sunscreen whenever they